Piano teachers, this is an exercise I like to do with my students when I teach them tonalities as a kingdom and the tonic chord and the tonic function, the first step being the king of that kingdom. Let's say we're in C major, scale, tonality. So the king is going to be our C. So when my students are already late beginners, are playing chords, not just in their basic position, but also the first inversion and the second inversion, I always ask them to recognize where the king is sitting. So we're in the kingdom of C major. Our tonality is C major. They've played the scale. Now they're moving on to chords. They start to play the basic chord. Where does the king sit? He sits on the bottom. On the first inversion, where did the king sit? He was getting tired of sitting all the time on the same place on the table, so he sat on top. And on the second inversion, where does the king sit? In the middle. And again, the basic chord, the king sits on the bottom. This way, I want to signal to my students to always pay attention to their tonic key, which is very important, and also to recognize it, where it sits, where do they place it with their fingers when they are inverting that chord. I don't just let them play by repetition all the chords and their inversions. Okay, this also has its function and is gonna help them, but I always try to get them to remember always every repetition has some kind of a target, some kind of a conscious target. Let's say our target can be the fingers, right? For them to pay attention to the fingers when they play the chords. Then I ask them to pay attention to their round hands. So every repetition is a conscious repetition targeting a specific thing we're trying to accomplish. So in another repetition, I'm going to ask, where does the tonic key or the king, where does he sit? On the bottom, on the top, in the middle. Let's move on to the kingdom of A major. A major tonality or scale. So when they play the chords with the inversions, our king now is the A key. Where does the king sit here? On the bottom. Where is the king here? On top. Where is the king in the second inversion? In the middle. And again, on the bottom. And that's how we are always trying to do some theoretical knowledge into our practicing when we're practicing scales, and also to start getting used to these terms of tonalities and tonic chords so that we can then later on move on to some harmonic knowledge about music. Have a good practice.